The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, mutual aid and the many organizations that help with that at the Mary Lyons Resource Fair. We'll speak with their CEO, Kristen Tilona Baker, about the many helps that will be present.
And the Go Fresh Mobile Market's Riley Gilroy talks with us about what's changed since they've gone year-round.
But first, we head to the Southern Berkshires, where a new venue to foster new theatrical works has arisen from the ashes of the pandemic.
The Barn at Lee was conceived by young artists with wide-reaching expertise spanning experimental theater, marketing, graphic design, urban and community planning, and artist curation.
The founders saw an urgent need to provide emerging artists with the precious resource of space and time. They envisioned using this beautiful structure to create an environment in which artists would be nurtured in a residency setting and given the time and space to explore new ideas or develop those already in motion.
With us to talk about the Barn itself and its current production are founders Juliana Mitchell and Misha Brooks, and the creator of the work that opens at the Barn at Lee this weekend, Even Cowboys Get the Blues, performance artist Ankita Sharma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So you're all Brooklynites, but
Kinda,
descending upon the Southern Berkshires in Lee.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
with a fury, yeah.
Tell us about the inception of the Barn.
The Barn really comes from a simple place. I mean, you guys said it beautifully just then. Were those our words?
Those are your
Those
words.
are good. I
We
like
said your words beautifully in our mellifluous radio voices.
Sometimes you don't get to hear them out loud, but it totally works.
I know. I was like, that's pretty good. That describes it pretty
Good job.
accurately. No, truly. I mean, there are two other founders, I should say. It's not just me and Juliana. Also, Shoshana Levy and Zach Donovan are the other founders of the space. And yeah, I mean, us being Brooklynites, I think, has to do with it. There's so little affordable space to make new work, and we kind of stumbled in. Shoshana's family has a space here that they were generous enough to donate to us, and it's a barn. It's very small. It's got this kind of backyard theater energy to it, and I think we try and make something really special with the resources that we have. I think so many emerging artists are just want space. They need it. I mean, people have really been relegated to the internet to kind of develop their voice, and that's just not a sustainable place for performing artists, at least, to make their work. And we wanted to do what we could to help out.
Plus, engaging online is very different from engaging in like meet space with works that are coming up and developing, or even established works too. So like it is kind of its own thing to do something online, but it's entirely different to do it here with people.
Totally.
But you launched, like, in addition to starting this space, you kind of went right in and started a residency too. Talk about that as an important part of the building of the Barn.
Yeah, I think that comes from the need for time and space is really being at a place for a longer period of time, and not just, you know, the kind of temporary nature of some of the works that we see. I mean, again, developed online, but also like in a rehearsal rental space in New York, for example, you have like a 2-hour time frame to do whatever you need to do, and then you go home to your apartment, and you know, you have to kind of make space for yourself. So the residency was born out of friends of ours wanting that kind of refuge away from their own homes, where they a lot of the time are developing that work. And then the Barn was kind of the perfect space for that. It's a 7 to 10 day residency. We pay the artists. We believe artists and art is work. And a lot of our artists are emerging artists, so they have to take time off of work to come to the residency in the first place. So that's really counterintuitive sometimes, where like you want to build your you know, quote unquote resume and like go to these different residencies, but sometimes you can't when you have to pay to participate, for example. So that's kind of a big portion of the work we do, is presenting that resource, and that is how we met Ankita as well, was through the residency.
Yeah, also I think the residency and all the work we do, I think post-pandemic, and even before the pandemic, there's just so many resources being stripped from the arts and from performing arts. And when that happens, I think arts institutions that we do have become really scared to take risks, and I think we wanted to offer space both in a performance setting and in a residency setting, a workshop setting, where artists can actually take risks for real, which means, experimenting in a way that could lead to failure. And I think that's something that arts institutions need to be able to absorb, that type of risk, in order for there to be better art, frankly, coming out later.
Well, because failure is important. If
Yeah.
you don't fail, how do you learn what is good and what works for you or what works in general?
Yeah, and if you can only afford 2 hours of space in Brooklyn, you do not want to fail. You want to maximize that time. So if you have a barn in Lee where you're there for a week or something, you may be able to fail a little bit more. And we're talking with two of the founders of the barn in Lee, Juliana Mitchell and Misha Brooks, and we will talk to one of the people in residence in just a little bit. But what are some of the other residencies that have grown out of that? What types of theater, what types of performances has the barn already enabled?
It's a great,
Misha?
yeah, I mean, it's a great question. And I think we're really proud of the type of art that's come out of the barn. We've had residencies since we started our residency program in 2021. In the winter, our first resident was a playwright and performer named Nazareth Hassan, who was also in our season last year. Naz is a perfect example of someone who's making really interesting cutting-edge art. They had their first off-Broadway premiere at the Vineyard this year with a show called Bull EP, which was really impressive. And then they're going to be off-Broadway again, I think, next month.
At Playwrights Horizons.
Playwrights Horizons in Manhattan, doing a show called Practice. And then, I mean, our most recent resident, Joe Sunday, was just listed in New York Magazine's Comedians to Know in 2025. Francesca Duva, one of our residents before that, had a show at Playwrights Horizons, a solo show about their experience with their dad passing during the COVID pandemic. Yeah. And Ankita themselves also just had a show in Brooklyn at the Jack Doka Betrayal that was really amazing. I was lucky enough to see it. Everyone's making incredible art that is really pushing kind of the boundaries, I think, of what theater is.
Very cool.
Well, let's bring Ankita into the conversation here. Ankita Sharma, who is the creator of Even Cowboys Get the Blues. Tell us about this production that will be at the barn in Lee.
Yeah, this production, I guess going back, so I was in residency with the barn in October 2024, and I felt very fortunate in speaking to the resources of time and space. I was really able to create the site-specific work over the course of a month spent at the barn off and on for the past year. And with that, in my first residency, I was really working with these ideas of how to have puppets bring to life the stories of American myth, specifically the figure of the cowboy. I'm a brown person, I'm a queer person, I've spent a lot of time in rural America, I've spent a lot of time actually working on ranches. And I think
there are a lot of puppets there. That's what people don't know about.
Yeah, they don't know that. The horses, puppets. Cows, puppets. They're all puppets.
The puppet ranches of Nebraska. We've all heard stories.
I knew it.
And I think for me, as the piece has gone on, it's about bringing kind of all of these figures we're seeing vilified and also made into heroes over time in this country, and like asking who and why this is happening and who and what purpose does this serve. And going back to kind of its origin story, I mean, I moved to New York and I was living in pretty red-leaning Colorado. And I got to New York and I was saying, my background is in movement and in dance, and in the dance spaces, like one of the tropes that you see is all of this like very serious contemporary dance, and it's all about capitalism, and everyone's stuck in a cubicle and they're doing their repetitive movement. And I was kind of like, wow, this is like really a thing that's happening in New York. There's something going on in the city subconscious where people really want to make art about this, and this is not something that's new. It's been going on for a long, long time. And I wanted to ask, like, why have we just been making this art for a long time? If this is what we're talking about, capitalism, then like the other side of that is we kind of like what we're getting out of capitalism, which is a sense of comfort. And I wanted to make a work that while we're stuck in a moment in our country where we're all just pointing fingers at each other going, the other side's the bad guy, you do have people who live out in a field in Kansas, Nebraska, who are tending to the land, who maybe have a bit more relationship with it, more relationship with their bodies, maybe not as online as much. And they feel very different than I think what we see in big city New York, where a lot of us are tethered to our laptops, fighting for space in like a closet in a Brooklyn Arts experimental hub. And they're just really different lifestyles to be living. And this was kind of my way of unpacking what I love about like the Americanisms that I know and what I hate about the Americanisms that I know, and kind of asking, how do we move beyond this idea of we're all just pointing fingers at each other, and what's actually at the core of that?
How much of that came in your first residency as opposed to the later time that you got to spend at the barn?
It's really funny, actually. That first residency, so I made a 20-minute chunk of what's now a 90-minute piece. So it's developed quite a bit, but that first residency was the beginning, middle, and end was all there, and all I've done is just filled out the pieces of all the questions I had. They unraveled, and they became something new, in this case about 9 different puppets of various shapes and sizes.
Were the puppets always a part of it? Or did the puppets grow out of that first residency? Or did you come into the idea with puppets number one?
Or is it an ironic nod to like the idea of movement within freedom and confinement?
It's interesting. It's some of all of that. I have a collaborator I work with. His name is Danny Archibald. He did this wonderful puppet production, and I remember I directed the movement for that, and I was like, I can do something with this. I'm going to steal your idea, Danny. And so I was really like, Danny, can you make me this mask? I want to make a mask of a cowboy. And for me, when I think of things like mask work, and when I think of puppetry, it's about who's donning the mask and why are they donning the mask. In this case, it separates you from the audience. And you're putting on both a shield, but you're putting on a figure that's not you. And it allows you to enter all of these like cartoonish animated spaces, this caricature. And I really, really wanted this to be about caricature. And I wanted this to be about what it feels like to be on a phone scrolling past all of these caricatures. And that's kind of just what this has become. So lots of puppets.
I love it. I wish you brought the puppets here.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
The mask
and this
is
show
awesome.
opens this week.
Oh, wow.
So, no.
Okay, well, let's take a little break right here, and we'll continue our conversation with Ankita Sharma, who has Even Cowboys Get the Blues in residency at the barn in Lee, and our conversation with 2 of the founders of that barn, Juliana Mitchell and Misha Brooks.
After which we'll delve into mobile markets with Riley Gilroy and mutual aid with Kristen Talona Baker and the Mary Lyons Foundation Resource Fair.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. The Barn at Lee is opening the second of its performances this weekend. It's called Even Cowboys Get the Blues. And with us are the show's creator, Ankita Sharma, as well as 2 of the Barn at Lee's founders, Juliana Mitchell and Misha Brooks. I'm curious about this 2x2 concept in terms of performance, because you're doing you've had 2 shows this month, or will have after this weekend, and that seems to be like kind of the threshold for what gets put on performance wise at the space. But like, talk about that and realizing what your limits are, perhaps.
Totally. I think we're always finding our limits. I think I think the barn is an experiment in finding where the limits are. I mean, we really try to do as much as we can with as little as possible. Like I said before, resources for the arts are scarce, and we do everything out of a little barn. It's a 49-seat house, and it's a very intimate performance venue. We're bringing people up, we're housing them, we're feeding them, we're trying to get the word out there. We're driving to Springfield to go on the radio.
We appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it. But yeah, I think it is like, I think it's always a challenge. People make art, I think, for the most part because they want to see art in the world. I don't think they really do it for any other reason. They don't do it for money or fame most of the time. I guess some people do. And we just want to facilitate that. So like, I think it's about sometimes I feel like I'm just like with a machete trying to clear a pathway as much as possible. You can't get all the brush and debris out of the way, but you can try and ideally make some space for people to go forward and make their stuff.
I'm imagining that the 49 seats you said in the barn and the limited number of shows that you're doing are not what pays for the artists that come in residency.
How'd you guess?
I don't know. So how are you getting funding in an era where, grants from the federal government are being cut for the arts? Those trickle down to state level grants being cut. So how are you able to fund this experimental work that you're doing at the Barn and Lee?
Yeah. Well, for starters, we've had a lot of generous donations and donors who have been with us since 2021. I think a lot of people have recognized that, from the residency program and now with the shows, just how important it is to give resources to emerging artists in particular. Everyone we've known and love was once an emerging artist. We love to say that. Lin-Manuel, emerging artists, everyone. Yeah. But the co-founders are all volunteers at this point. So that helps to kind of push the resources as much as we can to the artists. We do believe in obviously compensation and that art is work, but at the same time, the mission really is to kind of give the resources to the people making the art. So that has been a huge thing for us as well. We've gotten a couple of grants as well from Massachusetts. But as you said, a very, very hard time for the arts right now.
Where they've always been kind of undervalued to begin with.
Yeah.
You've had three winters now under your belt. What is it like at the barn when it gets cold?
We don't really operate in the winter.
What do you live in a barn?
Yeah, no.
Shut that door.
Doors are shut.
We try, and the barn is not. It's a barn. It's not weatherized in any particular way. There's fans in there, but we try.
It is ADA accessible. We renovated the space as well,
true.
but it's not winterized. We do programming in New York as well. We started in January with our first show, 21st Century Princess, that was in Brooklyn at Pageant. So the barn, it is kind of our flagship space, but the barn at Lee, the company itself and the mission, we're trying to also make it so that it expands beyond just the building itself. But yeah, I think
we mostly operate in the spring and the fall. Yeah.
When it's a little bit safer, a little bit warmer. Is it hard to get it ready for the season then when you come back from the cold months?
Yeah.
There's always a spring cleanup. It's it's mostly getting rid of a wasp's nest here and there.
No, there's no wasps at the barn. Sometimes they're bats.
Sometimes they're bats, but we love the bats.
And those are two of the founders of the barn at Lee, Juliana Mitchell and Misha Brooks. Ankita Sharma is there in residency with Even Cowboys Get the Blues, which we heard was movement and puppetry. 40% of my headspace at any given time is obsessed with Muppets. So I would love you to introduce me to your puppets. We heard there was a cowboy mask. What are the other puppets that we'll see as part of this production, Even Cowboys Get the Blues this weekend?
I think you should give them... The cowboy mask itself has a name and has a life of its own, right?
Yeah, so the cowboy, his name is Brenda. Big mask. The puppet itself is played by two different people. One is its voice, one is me as its body. It's
Nice.
a really big 3-foot tall mask.
Wow.
It's very heavy too. It's extremely impressive to watch.
90 minutes
them
of that on my
dance.
head.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel so good. Hurts my neck. Pay
On
my
a
bills.
horse. On a horse. PT next season.
Yeah,
at the
for
barn.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a therapist. The therapist's name is Lil D. She's just ahead. She has a friend named Big D. It's her angry voice.
Oh, Big D, where the show that was here earlier went to go visit that. Oh, no, that's the Big E, the Eastern States.
Right. Could be something else. You never know. And we have a wife puppet. We have a cop. We have a pastor.
Yeah.
And
There's two horses in the show as well.
Oh yeah,
Two
the horse,
horses.
Elmer.
And
Elmer is the name of a glue, and you named your horse.
correct.
Okay.
The horse is
I have a feeling-
incredible.
It's a tough reality out there, you know.
It's hard for everyone. We are all just making it by. So we got
where you can.
So we got quite a few different characters, combination of morph suits and paper mache mask work and styrofoam mask work and real people doing real people things. And it's a really great assorted motley of American figures to look at. for
That sounds
It
awesome.
really does sound incredible.
It's really good.
I'm curious also about like, so when we said the list of like the people that came together, like a thing that I feel folks expect on anything that's not necessarily your board of directors is just to hear a list of like, this person is this playwright, this series of playwrights, but like you have graphic designers and like other types of folks that are involved in the creation of this. What has that diversity of knowledge done for the creation of this group?
I mean, it's huge. Like for example, Shoshana, one of the other founders, has a degree in urban design and is particularly focused on adaptive reuse of buildings. And the barn itself is a 300-year-old structure. I think that's been moved around different parts of Massachusetts. Like some of the joinery, she's told me, I don't really understand everything she's saying, but some of the joinery of the barn places is, from the 1700s, which is really amazing. So she's been instrumental in kind of like facilitating the transformation of the barn into a theater, and that's expertise that I feel like none of us has. Juliana has a master's degree in marketing, and that's been incredibly helpful for finding multi-pronged strategies for getting the word out there.
Yeah. And Zach too is doing like a lot of the design lighting, what's the word? Tech things for the shows that not all of us have experience in. I mean, it really takes a village to do this.
It's like a barn raising.
It is a barn.
It is
raising.
a barn raising, brick by brick. No, brick by brick.
Plank by
plank. Yeah.
And Kita, has that wealth of knowledge helped with your development of your own work?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the most supported opportunities I've received thus far. Everything from not having to worry about how I'm pushing out the show to get an audience, to Misha cooks. This is a very
insider
undersold. It's insider based, and I'm sorry to put the secret out there, but Misha is like a 5-star chef.
Yeah,
he
truly.
makes meals for us twice a day, and the amount of mental clarity I can have by sitting down for an hour without worrying about anything while I'm making work is amazing. All 4 of them, just their different skill sets. Shoshana makes everything in her language bespoke and everything so aesthetically immaculate. Zach is holding it all together, and I don't know. We're very lucky to have them bringing new artists into the fold, and I feel grateful to be there.
Oh, we're grateful for you and your
grateful.
work. Yeah.
Aw.
We really are.
Speaking of those new artists, if someone is interested in being a resident at the barn, how do they go about applying for the 2026 cohort of residents?
It's a little, it may be a little different this year, but most likely that applications will open in the new year, in the winter, in 2026, which is how we've done it for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And you can just follow us on all our social media platforms. Check out our website. We'll put that information there. But please apply.
Yeah, everything is the Barn at Lee online.
And what is at the barn at Lee right now in residence is even Cowboys Get the Blues. We have been speaking with the creator, Ankita Sharma, as well as 2 of the founders at the barn at Lee, Juliana Mitchell and Misha Brooks. You can, as we mentioned, find all the information on tickets for this incredible sounding show and all of the great work that they're doing at the barn at Lee at thebarnatlee.org. Thank you all so much for coming to Springfield to talk to us about this.
Appreciate
We're
it.
so lucky.
Thank you for coming. This show sounds amazing.
Sure does.
Everybody come September 18th through the 20th.
Yay! Soon we'll hear about the Mutual Aid Resource Fair happening in Shelburne tomorrow.
After we check in with Riley Gilroy from Go Fresh Market and Jennifer Kaur from CISA.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Time for our local hero spotlight with Jennifer Kaur, the new executive director of CISA through the end of 2025, and at which point I will no longer call her the new executive director, and Riley Gilroy from Go Fresh Mobile Market, who has been on this show already once before, but we went mobile to you last time, Riley, with your Go Fresh Mobile Market. Tell us.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is the only day a week that you're like off.
Tuesdays and Fridays are my farm days. That's when I go exploring the valley and find new farm.
For those who missed that first conversation where we were off of Liberty Street at a delivery site that you had in an apartment building over there, right in downtown Springfield.
Linden Towers.
Linden Towers. Tell us what Go Fresh Mobile Market is about, Riley.
We are a mobile farmers market bringing local produce from the Pioneer Valley to 13 different locations throughout Springfield and Chicopee.
Mm-hmm.
We take cash, credit, debit. We also reimburse for the HIP program, anybody who gets food stamps.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
We
that.
are definitely going to talk about that.
Talk about the origin story, though, again, of Go Fresh Mobile Market. And this is an important thing because we've talked about food access, we've talked about food insecurity, and how people, especially people of low income, don't always have the access to fresh, healthy foods.
Often living in food deserts.
Yeah, this is bringing it right to them. How did this all come about, Riley?
Well, before my time, my understanding of the story was a volunteer program where a farmer was coming back and forth across the valley to move product to Boston, kept going through Springfield, and why am I not selling produce here? Mm-hmm. And you guys are having to pay to ship it back towards this way, so why don't I just start dropping it off in this area? And when I got in touch with the program, it was part of the Public Health Institute and the YMCA, and had been operating for a couple of years, just during the summer for a couple of months, and had about 4 or 5 sites. It was kind of a ever-changing profile who was operating the program. And so when I took over, as a former chef, I was really motivated to take a farmer's market to year-round.
Yeah.
And nothing like that existed in the area. Logistically, it's impossible because you just don't make money running a farmer's truck. A turnip truck is not a profitable business.
No. And we've seen other ones that have made attempts in Springfield and Holyoke and Chicopee not make it, even in the last year or so.
Yes, in the going on 7 years that Monica and I have been running Go Fresh, we've had probably about 4 or 5 other startup concepts throughout the Pioneer Valley who, for some reason or another, staffing, non-profitability, a lot of problems, struggles. We are funded by grants to pay for our labor. Food will pay for itself because we're going direct to farm.
Right.
So we're missing a lot of the middleman markup, and we're able to extend those courtesies to clients. And we've now at 13 sites year-round.
That's Riley Gilroy, the director of Go Fresh Mobile Market, who's bringing the mobile market all over places in Springfield and beyond.
And with a really good selection, too. But those grants, I feel like, have gone through ups and downs in the past year. And HIP as well got a massive cut at the end of last year and some restoration this year. Has that affected your ability to operate this year? And are you worried about where those cuts are going to land you? Because SNAP is still getting...
Okay. So, we've been focusing on providing produce to the general population and keeping the prices low. So where SNAP and HIP is a majority of our clientele base, we are still exposing other clients to the produce. We're starting to see more of a mix of cash customers. We're encouraging people to try to use the EBT if they get it. Some folks have been only offered $10 a month for a family of 3. It's like, well, hey, you know what? It's something. Get on that because you also get the HIP. You know, you're not going to get much from EBT. There are the HIP benefits that go with that some people overlook.
Yeah.
So just to jump in here. So HIP is our state SNAP match program, which means it's state dollars that are giving up to $80 per household per month for additional food purchases for fresh, local fruits and vegetables. So this is a major investment that we are making as taxpayers and something that, frankly, I think we can all be really proud of as a program that is a really effective solution in terms of supporting farm viability and bringing a lot more fresh produce locally grown into households.
And as Khalees mentioned, there was a big cut at the end of last year, but that cut has now been restored. So most people, individuals and families, have gotten their HIP benefits back to where they were prior to those cuts at the end of last year.
Yeah, and a lot of people, because of the change, are still finding out about that.
Yeah, so they don't realize they've been restored, right? So education is a huge part of this.
So the big question we're panning right now is how many people are on your card. Before if somebody shows up, a senior citizen shows up with the Massachusetts Senior Citizen Farmers Market coupon for $5, we ask them, do you get food stamps? Let me do this for you. Let me see if I can help that out and extend that out a little bit because those are good for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Whereas your HIP is a monthly recurring fund that does not carry over. use it or lose it. And we want to encourage as many people as we can to utilize that benefit and then take advantage of the other coupons and discounts that they get.
The HIP program has been happening in the state of Massachusetts since about 2017 with an initial pilot in like 2011-12. And still, there are so many people who do not understand how it works. So this ongoing community outreach and frankly farmer advocacy for the program as well is really important. I think, just for folks to understand, if you have SNAP benefits and you live in the state of Massachusetts, you have HIP dollars
automatically.
on your card. Yes.
And you use that card, your EBT card, and automatically, you don't have to do anything. It comes right back onto that card, sort of reimburses you immediately.
Exactly.
And so if you get sick of us talking about SNAP and HIP on this show, that is part of our role here to let everybody know.
Yes.
Or if you know somebody who
to make
doesn't know, tell them.
To make you know so much about it that you can tell other people about it and spread the word to people who need it more.
We want to make you sick of it because it's such a good program.
And they've made some significant changes. One of my favorite and most profound changes that was made came through a lot of 6 years of advocacy and screaming and yelling. Literally in conference calls with a couple hundred market managers on there, and there's like 3 of us just blowing up and taking over the meeting about you cannot have the stigma of this multi-swipe. If you have insufficient funds, the funds are automatically available. How come you can do it as the state, but we can't do it as farmers markets? Give us the authority to get rid of the stigma. I grew up on an age of physical stamps.
Right.
Now, so long as you have something more than 1 penny or a penny, something above 0 on your EBT card, come to a farmer's market, it accepts HIP, and they can take a single swipe and 40, 60, 80 bucks. It's mathematically impossible. You have a penny, but somehow I'm going to get $60, $80 worth of food for free. Walk out of here with bags of food.
Yeah.
Yep.
How? And I got all month to use this. God bless you. That is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Many, many improvements are underway right now. Also in terms of just having SNAP customers understand how it works. So it's a little bit less of a rebate language and a little bit more
How much I have
these are
left
additional dollars.
Recreating the receipt to show what I've used, what I got left. Oh, because it works backwards. You start with 0 and you earn your way up versus EBT, which you start with whatever you got and you work your way down to 0.
Yeah.
Now people are have finally started to get around, okay, I've got X for EBT, I've got X for fruits and vegetables. And they're actually dividing up their budget between meat, eggs, and dairy at the grocery store and everything else I need at the farmer's market. And we are bringing that strong.
We're speaking with Riley Gilroy, who's the manager of the Go Fresh mobile market, which moves all around the Springfield area, delivering fresh, healthy vegetables to folks who oftentimes are using SNAP and HIP to access those fresh, healthy vegetables. And Jennifer Kaur from CISA, the local hero, folks, community involved in sustaining agriculture.
And just as an aside, those changes also make it really much easier to explain in Spanish. Because I remember being at the farmer's market and trying to explain where the HIP kicks in Spanish and having like the hardest time trying to differentiate between like what was debit and what wasn't and what comes back to you and how like you've accidentally overspent. So like simplifying the process so that not only like is it simple for everybody, but for those of us who have to translate, it's easier for that too.
Do you call it cinturas?
No.
No, that's a different type of HIP.
Yes.
So another just really beautiful thing about the HIP program is that it really incentivizes buying directly from producers. So you have to spend these dollars at farmers markets, at mobile markets, through CSAs or farm stands. Traditional sort of grocers or convenience stores aren't eligible to accept HIP transactions. And that's a really important piece of why this program works so well in our area.
And just to sort of zoom out to the big picture, we talk a lot about like the farm bill and farm subsidies for these huge farms that exist in the Midwest. SNAP and HIP are not a farm subsidy. It's almost like a magic bullet that can hit multiple things at the same time. So we invest our federal tax dollars in SNAP and our Commonwealth tax dollars in HIP. That money gets sent to farmers who are on our show every week talking about the economic struggles they have to try to maintain their farms, especially small farms in our area. It is like a mini stimulus package to them that not only supports the farmers, but supports the people who couldn't otherwise afford the food. If we cut SNAP and then then subsequently, as we did last year in the Commonwealth, cut HIP, that takes away from those local farmers and creates a major economic impact, not only for our neighbors who are farmers, but for our neighbors who don't have enough to eat.
Tremendously, and we have just done this. So the budget reconciliation bill cut $187 billion in SNAP benefits over the next 10 years. So the Environmental Working Group estimates that that's about $850 million impacting just Franklin, Hampshire, and Hampden County.
$850 million over the next 10 years in just those three counties.
You got it. Tremendous. And we know the research has been done that for every dollar of SNAP benefits being spent, you can generate up to $1.80 in local economic activity. This is tremendous to us.
Yeah.
And we all should really care that we are building a food system that includes every one of us.
And you'll be hearing an awful lot more about that as the fall progresses and we get closer to the March for the Food Bank, and we're having conversations with the Food Bank of Western Mass, as well as the governor's new anti-hunger task force, which we will be involved with.
Just the number of how our greenhouse and Wellspring harvest has been affected by this, and the number of orders that we receive from colleges and schools has been cut. So they're ordering less. It has this crazy trickle-down effect that when you start cutting it from one end, you start seeing the profound impacts that it has. I've seen farmers just go out of business. I've had multiple times where we've had to adjust locations. Could be any number of reasons in the city why all of a sudden it goes from being a busy location to no one's there. Could have been an ice raid. Could have been that area was heavily into people who got EBT, but they were kind of on the threshold whether they were going to qualify or not. And all of a sudden they lost their benefits. Because of COVID, a lot of people kind of slipped through some loopholes. Those loopholes have been closed, and a lot of those people that were using that system are no longer in the system, so they are now out of luck. So we're going into those areas where there's more need, trying to draw more people. And if we can make it work and get enough publicity and make enough word of mouth, then we get more people in that area. Brightwood Medical Clinic down on Playfield Street was a great example because we were working at 3 different towers around that area, 3 different stops, 3 different times a week. Couldn't get people from one building to the next building, but they were all members of the clinic. So we just moved the location of the clinic, and now we got people from all 3 buildings coming, and it's a very popular site.
That's what's great about having a mobile market. You can move
mobile.
to meet the people.
Do you find more demand in the winter when people are especially unable to get out and around?
We have struggled getting people to come out. So we've tried to establish locations that have indoor areas that are big enough that we can host a lot of people. We've had places that have done well when people are very community involved and very tight-knit neighborhood or a building versus some of the other apartment complexes that are more spread out. We don't get as much activity because people aren't as close to each other. And a lot of our success is based on word of mouth. We do a lot of advertising, we do a lot of marketing, but it really comes down to, what do you mean I can get free food?
Yeah.
I don't trust that guy.
I don't
What's
blame
up
him.
with that guy?
It seems too good to be true. But
Right.
this is one of those few instances where it actually is.
But we've had people hit us up on Facebook. Hey, where are you right now?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be over here by the cemetery in Oak Grove at the community center. Oh, I'm walking that way with my stroller. I'll be there in a few minutes. We're getting ready to wrap up here. Why don't we drive towards you? We drive a couple blocks down the road. We literally pulled into a woman's driveway.
Oh,
Started
wow.
selling watermelons out of her driveway.
That's so great.
It was awesome. We had people come from across the street. We had people come from 2 doors down. Oh, what are you doing? Who this?
Yeah. They're like the new ice cream
And
truck.
they're like, yeah.
It's
But
a
it was-
better ice cream.
Oh, we
You need
had
a song, though.
I had peaches, blueberries, watermelons, cantaloupes, and people were like, "Oh, whoa! You came to my neighborhood with that, and I can get this for free. I got $1 on my card. Let me go get my card."
Yeah.
And we did more business down the street than we did at our actual stop.
And every one of those people had an opportunity to learn about the HIP benefits
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
their card.
That's so great.
Amazing.
And you see kids come in there like, "I want an apple. I want some berries," and getting them, we're like, "What is that? I've never seen it. I don't know how to cook that." And getting people the education piece and the health piece, because we've also been working very closely with Bay State and Beth Eagleson, who's the director for nutrition. And I myself am a nutritionist. As a chef and nutritionist running a farmer's market, I really get to get into people like, what are you doing putting all this sugar and maple syrup on your butternut squash?
Yeah.
That defeats the purpose of eating the squash. So I'm introducing them to things like honey nut squash,
Yeah.
which you can eat the rind. It's easier to cut. It's already sweet. You don't need to add the sugar, and they like it better.
Yeah.
And it's smaller, so they don't put a lot of food to waste. You're like, wow. So we're trying to teach people and expose them to different things that they can try.
That's so great. It really is. You're an evangelist of eating fresh, going from place to place, an itinerant preacher of the good word of the snap and the hip.
The good word of produce.
Yeah.
Showcasing all this stuff that's coming from our valley. It's amazing.
And kind of back to where we're at when it comes to educating people on food, we're now working 2 times a week at Stick, and we've developed a pick your own CSA where the students are getting a $10 voucher from Stick to come to the farmer's market and get $10 box or bag of fresh produce. And so they can, the biggest problem with the CSA though is you're getting stuck with whatever's in the box. You don't get to choose.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I'm a chef. I like variety. So here's your bag, here's your voucher, pick whatever you want. Any student, all students will automatically get that $10 voucher. Just go to the CAS office, boom, $10 in your pocket. We're there twice a week. You get one every single week. And a lot of those folks get EBT.
So now they get the benefit
Bingo.
of HIP on top of that.
Yep.
So now
with a $10 bonus.
Yeah.
and that $10 bonus every week, plus the 40 that you get on top of that for the month. You know, you're $80 a month in free fruits and vegetables right there.
That's great.
And that's every single student at Stick.
Riley Gilroy, who's the manager for Go Fresh Mobile Market, doing some amazing things around the city of Springfield with that Go Fresh Mobile Market, and Jennifer Kaur from CISA, the local hero folks, who were a big advocate for creating this HIP program in the beginning and part of the test model that rolled it out there in the early days. You can find out more about all of our local heroes at their website, buylocalfood.org.
How can someone get signed up for SNAP and HIP? Well, up next we'll meet Kristen Tilona Baker, the CEO of the Mary Lyon Foundation, and learn more about their annual resource fair where you can do that and more.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, specializing in solar installations, battery storage, and clean energy solutions tailored to the homes and businesses of Western Massachusetts. Northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Tomorrow, the Mary Lyon Foundation hosts its annual resource fair from 3:30 to 7 at Mohawk Trail Regional High School. This free family event connects community members with local resources and services, featuring 30-plus nonprofits sharing information about SNAP, HIP, fuel assistance, literacy programs, senior services, and much, much more.
And with us to talk about the event and its reach and impart its wisdom is Mary Lyon Foundation CEO Kristen Tilona Baker. Kristen Tilona Baker joined the Mary Lyon Foundation in 2021 and became the CEO in 2025. Prior to joining the foundation, she served as head of school at the Knox School in Long Island. Kristen graduated from the University of Massachusetts Amherst and spent 11 years teaching math and science at independent day and boarding schools. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure.
People may know the name Mary Lyon, but they may not be able to quite place it. So briefly, who is Mary Lyon and why is she the namesake of the foundation?
Mary Lyon is an advocate in women's education. She started Mount Holyoke College, and she also helped Eliza Bailey Wheaton start Wheaton College.
In my hometown of Norton, Massachusetts, the most boring college town in America. But her legacy lives on in this foundation. Is it still connected to the history, or is it just the namesake of the foundation, or are there a little family members still involved in this continuation of this name?
Well, Mary Lyon was born in Buckland, Massachusetts, which is part of West County.
Yep.
And where she taught school was the Mary Lyon House on Old Upper Street in Buckland. And Sue Samariski, the founder of the Mary Lyon Foundation, owned the home until recently. And the schoolhouse, her first schoolroom, took up the whole top floor of the house. So that's how she's connected. Very inspiring story for a small little town.
Yeah.
And like you've got this resource fair happening. Why a resource fair for an organization that focuses primarily on education, I feel like?
Well, our goal is to have best educational outcomes for students. And our mission is to empower students and families by advocating for community investment in programs and services. And one of the largest roadblocks in West County is transportation, reliable transportation to get to the service agencies in Greenfield and in the other towns. So 3 years ago, we came up with the idea that we would bring the services to our families, and we'd make it a family event, and not just young families, but an intergenerational event. So we have a vaccine clinic, and one of the biggest roadblocks also for families, young families in particular, when you go out in the evening, is how you're feeding your children. So it's been really important to us that when we hold an event, we also provide dinner for families. And this year we have Stone Soup Cafe providing dinner, and there's just such great synergy with Stone Soup's mission and the Mary Lyon Foundation, and we're really excited to have them.
Stone Soup we had on a couple weeks ago with Kirsten Levitt there. They had their big harvest supper, and now they're providing supper again for this event that's happening tomorrow, Wednesday, September 17th, 3:30 to 7 at Mohawk Trail Regional High School, which is kind of where the base of operations is for the Mary Lyon Foundation.
Our office is in the high school.
That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
It's perfect for Mary Lyon, who is, an advocate for education. It sounds like a small foundation, but your newsletter that I'm holding right here says that you have raised $5 million in a campaign goal. Talk about how that money came about and what that money is being used for.
I came in as executive director in January of 2021, and one of the things that lured me to the foundation was the strategic plan that the Board of Trustees had put in place and this comprehensive campaign. And in the comprehensive campaign, we had 3 goals. 1, to build our operating capacity for sustainability. 2, to expand our programs and services. And 3, to provide more wraparound services to families in the area. And so that really excited me. And so over the last 4.5 years, we've been chipping away at our campaign goals and spreading the mission and the vision of the Mary Lyon Foundation and the work that we do. And we've been very fortunate to have so many generous donors who believe in our mission. And so piece by piece, we made it, because the campaign ends September 30th. And, they say campaign fatigue is real. However, I
was going to try to conscribe you to come raise money for New England Public Media. We get $5 million. Come on now.
We are not fatigued, though. We are inspired, because our goal in the next 7 to 8 years is to build a community center that will house the Community Health Center of Franklin County and other agencies to provide direct support in our area. And so our goal this next year is to raise $1 million.
That
$1 million on top of the $5 million.
Of course.
Yeah, wow, you're the
Right
best.
on.
I like you. You want to be a board member of the Shea Theater?
Getters. Yeah, we're for it. I was going to ask what that $5 million goes towards, but some of it is going to go towards the plans for making this community center. But in light of that, beyond the resource fair, what are some of the day-to-day things that the Mary Lyon Foundation does for West County? Well,
the Mary Lyon Foundation, I like to think of it as that we have 3 buckets. So we serve educators by providing mini grants to promote reimagination and innovation in the classroom. And then we provide supports for students and families. So for students, last year we gave out $50,000 in scholarships for post-secondary education. We provide support through the Sharing is Caring clothing closet at the school, where we have clothing and menstrual products, hygiene products, and survival gear for those that may not have a roof over their head. We also do things like we support capstone projects for students and student council trips for professional development. And then there's the family piece. And children, when they come to school, they have to come from a child-centered household, because when they come from an adult-centered household where adults are only worried about adult problems, their needs are not met. So we really work with the families to ensure that there's heat, hot water, food on the table, appropriate clothing for kids, dependent on the weather. And when kids have those basic needs met, they come to school feeling safe, protected, and ready to learn.
Are the only kids that you're working with Mohawk Trail Regional kids, or do you work beyond just that school system?
Part of the strategic plan for the Mary Lyon Foundation was to expand our reach into all of Franklin County. This past year, we endowed the Union 38 and Mohawk Trail Family Funds, so we're directly serving the Union 38 School District, which is Frontier Regional, as well as we have continued to help families in Greenfield, part of Hampshire County, and the North Quabbin.
It's amazing. And this resource fair sounds amazing. It'll be multifaceted with the kind of things that you can experience, including dinner from Stone Soup. But you can learn more about fuel assistance and SNAP and HIP. There's a book giveaway. There's activities for kids and face painting, which is what I'm going for, as well as gently used clothing and senior services as well. It's incredible. I'm glad to know more about this foundation because I drive by that Mary Lyon house. I know about the history of Mary Lyon a little bit, but the fact that her legacy lives on in an office at Mohawk Trail Regional is pretty amazing. And we have been speaking with the CEO of the Mary Lyon Foundation, Kristen Tilona Baker. And once again, that resource fair is tomorrow at Mohawk Trail Regional between 3:30 and 7. Thank you so much for telling us all about the foundation and the work that you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it sounds like a pile of fun. On the next Fabulous 413, we'll stay in the hill towns where Ashfield Film Festival will show the work of local filmmakers this weekend. We'll chat with Christopher Seward and rock star June Millington about their screenings because her movie's getting shown.
Yeah, and just up the road in Shelburne Falls, the village's Welcome Committee hosts an event to aid neighbors in need. We'll hear from organizer Lynn Benander and poet Martina Spada about It Can't Happen Here, a benefit for immigrants' rights.
And word nerd Emily Brewster saunters down a prepositional rabbit hole exploring a change in the way we arrive, which will make way more sense tomorrow than the sentence that I just said.
It's going to be the nerdiest word nerd
segment we've done. It is by far the deepest, nerdiest word nerd we've done in a long period of time.
I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.